Nowadays, with so many blogs, articles, videos, and movies, it seems like everybody's got a story to tell. And it doesn't matter if that story is based on fact or fiction. The storyteller's main purpose should be to try to draw some type of emotional feelings from the viewer, the listener, or the reader, regardless if those feelings are good, bad, or both. Because when you think about it, who can tell your story better than you? I am No Bone Tyrone. This is our story. Welcome to Master of Waves Legacy. Let the history of pop locking begin.
Category is dance. The winner, Anthony King, Alaska.
Tyrone here, Master of Waves Legacy. I got an OG in the house.
Yes, sir.
The one, the only, world famous, original king of pop.
Yes, sir.
Anthony King in the house. What's up, my man?
You know what it is.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. I appreciate the drive up and you taking the time out to want to talk to me.
Hey, man. Hey, it's all in the love for this game that we call Popin. Pop locking from where we're from, you know what I'm saying?
Southland, West Coast, we call it pop locking.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you is, how did you get that name? The original king of pop?
Well, that's a good question. You know, when we came up in the game, I've been popping since 1979. And when we started to dance, it wasn't many things called styles or any of that. So we were doing
Right, just kind of
these
like
moves.
Yeah.
And it was around that time we started putting groups together.
Okay.
And as different moves started to develop, people would associate their names with what they did well.
Right.
And popping was my thing.
Okay.
And because my name is Anthony, you know, I tried animated ant.
Okay.
I said, nah, that's kind of whack. That didn't work out. So I said King. It was gonna be King Pop.
Okay.
And when we put our group together, I was in a group called the Electronic Puppets. Shout out to
Electronic Puppets.
And you know, we had the burnt orange jackets with the white letters.
Right. Okay.
So when we went down to the place where they iron the letters on for you, I said, put the of in there.
Oh, okay. So it's like a last minute.
It was not last minute, it was the first minute. This is the beginning of the thing.
Okay, I got you.
I said, of.
Right.
Because this dance was related to battles. Pop locking was related to battles. It was replacing gang violence. And being from Compton,
that's
it was
right.
either Pyru, which was the red rags,
Yep.
Bloods, or you were Crip,
Right.
the blue rags.
Right.
And you couldn't just go any and everywhere you wanted to because you felt like it.
Right.
But this dance, this thing of ours, this popping, this pop locking that we're doing, was breaking down barriers.
Yes, it was.
And it was causing us, allowing us to be free.
Yes.
You know, and at the same time affording us the opportunity to release this energy that we had to fight and to battle with those that would get in that circle with you.
Oh yeah.
So, King of Pop. And my group said to me, they said, man, you know if you put that of,
right.
if you put that of in there, people gonna be coming at you from somewhere everywhere.
Yep. But you honored it.
I said, then you put it in there then. And if you want it, I got it for you. You dig?
Yeah.
And that's the way it was.
Okay.
And it was battle after battle after battle after battle. And there's no man walking the face of this earth that will tell you I out-battled or out-danced Anthony King, because there ain't none.
There you go.
Straight up.
Yeah, and he's telling the truth. I can verify, I can testify, I can validate I was there.
And being from Compton, you know, we were locking.
Right.
First, we were doing the locking moves. And there was this group called the PH Hustlers.
Oh, I remember them, yeah.
You know, I talked to one of the brothers a few years back, actually, because I mentioned them in an interview that I did. And they were the actual transformers, if you will.
Okay.
The infectors.
I see.
Because Popin Pete from Electric Boogaloo, shout out to my brother, and to the other Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
Puppet Boozer, who I love, Robot Dame,
Yeah.
Ticket Deck, Creepin' Sid, Boogaloo Sam.
Legends.
And wonderful, wonderful people. And that's why they've endured the test of time for so long.
Wow.
But Pete and I have always had a connection. As a matter of fact, I grew up with his wife.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's from Fresno, from Northern California,
Right.
which is the northern parts, the top of California.
Uh-huh.
He moved down to Long Beach
Right, I see.
and infected the Southland
Right, so that's how it all kind of started.
with what he
Incredible.
calls popping. Now, Pete never called it pop locking. That is a Southland, West Coast, primarily Compton, LA, and that area term that we use.
Right.
Because we came out of locking, that's what we were, and we took that form, the popping form, and started adding different type of things to it, probably in a more liberal way
Right.
than they did in the Bay Area. They were probably closer to the art form of the discipline, the way that they received it.
I see.
And we probably were more lucid
Yeah.
with it, as we are with the term.
Yeah.
Pete came down to Long Beach.
Do you remember what year that was?
I had 78, 79, where the PH Hustlers
Okay.
picked it up from him.
Oh, okay.
And they
That's
went
crazy.
to Dominguez High School, because
That's
I'm a
deep.
Dominguez High School Don. Shout out
Yeah.
to the Don.
Back in the house again with another special guest. I'm in the house with the original OG One-Armed Bandit. What's happening, man?
What's up?
All right, man.
Glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man.
Appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure and honor, man.
Absolutely.
This cat has a lot of information that a lot of you guys need to hear. And so, first off, for those of you who don't know, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Linwood and Compton. So, I mean, we moved to Compton first, and then it had got real bad over here in Compton at the time I was coming up. So, I moved from Compton. We moved from Compton to Linwood, my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my brothers and sisters.
Okay. So, in terms of like for some people that might be familiar with some of the junior high or high schools over there, what junior high or high school did you
I went to
go
Hostel Junior High.
Okay.
And then when I went to Linwood High School, and from Linwood, I went to a JC for 2 years, and that was Compton College.
Okay.
And then once we moved to Linwood, that's when things got turned up for me, and as far as the dance market is concerned.
Okay. Okay. When you went to Linwood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I was
remember
was
that.
hitting at the time in Compton,
Right.
but it was actually Linwood that brought me to a understanding of the dance, because I was able to focus. In Compton, it was like real, you know, at the time I was coming up, it was gang affiliated everywhere. So
Right.
I couldn't really focus on the dance, because, you know, if you dance against somebody at that time, man, you're liable to get beat up, you know, or even shot, you know, because it was just a lot of gangs. So once my mom moved me to Linwood, I was able to focus on the neighborhood that I was, because it wasn't gang affiliated so much, so to speak.
What year did you start popping?
In 1972, I was exposed to the dance.
Okay.
In 72. From the Gong Show, Mechanical Device, Demons of the Minds. There was a lot of groups coming up at the time from Oakland. And we were already like exposed to it. I don't know how I was exposed to it, but I know in 72, 73, 74, I was doing the box.
Right.
And the shoulder, you know, swing.
Right, that's what that was called, okay.
And, you know, swallow your head and spit it out.
Right, and bring it back up.
Yeah,
eventually.
bro. and so all the deep 3D'ing and waving and the mastery of tutting, all that hadn't crossed my eyesight at that time until about 74.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was
And then it was still early, yeah, because at that time I was already a dancer. I was a dancer since I was a sperm.
Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful.
You know, but yeah, man, I was coming up in Linwood. It was just an opportunity for me to be able to expand the dance. Now, once I got into 76, up in that area, 76 between 76 and 78, it was already at a full thriving
Right, it sure was. I
kickoff,
remember
twister
that.
flexing,
Yes.
3D'ing, you know,
Right.
ticking, waving,
Right.
tutting. But the waves, they were good. But there were dudes that were before their time. So you
Yes.
had guys who had a wave, you know, they
Yes.
come in and do their
Yes.
wave.
Yes.
You would look and be like, oh.
Yeah.
And then you would see another guy come in and go, boom, 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 like that. You know, deep down, like,
Hold on a second.
that's the gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Just being exposed to, like, you know, Sammy Davis Jr., the Nicholas Brothers, Peg Leg, Sandman. I can go on, man. It's them, and then it's the regular, you know, boppers. You
Right.
know, not boppers per
Right,
se,
right,
but boppers,
right.
like hip hoppers,
Tap,
hoppers,
tap,
boppers,
tap,
right?
tap.
The tap dancers,
Talking
right? They
tap.
started to branch out from the sound of the tap
Uh-huh.
to actual movements. And those movements started to flow on all different types of history channels. At the time, it was Soul Train started to release different segments of dancers. That's Hollywood. MGM started to get involved in the jazz and the musicals of dance. So I was exposed to it at a young age. And then I seen people do stuff live, you know, with tumblers. They was flipping back at that time. I used to tumble,
Wow.
you know, across the garage. They call it flipping, gymnastics, you know what. I used to do all these flips, and then I would see somebody come from a school where he learned from a school, and he would just be amazing.
Wow.
And so every day after school, we would just be tumbling, man, flipping and doing all kind of tricks and martial arts, and
Crazy.
all that led into moving differently in the dance market. Because remember, music was changing at the time. When I was coming up, you had the stylistic shy lights and all these. Everybody was about love, and you're loving your girl.
Slow.
And then as time went on really quickly, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire started kicking in, and you started picking up the pace. And then disco came in.
Right.
It brought in the Boogaloo era, per se. Now the Boogaloos were already there.
Yes.
You know, because they're older than me, but they were already there doing their thing in the Bay Area and all these different parts of the world. But when they got to California, you know, and then they had their first student was Gil. Y'all don't know Gil bad. He was freaking amazing, bro. I learned to dance the Boogaloo. I didn't learn it great because I always try to be original when I dance. I try to make it my own way of throwing things, my own way of throwing twister flexes and stuff.
Yes.
If the move requires a 1 and a 2, I'm gonna go like that, and 1 and 2 and 3, like that.
Right.
I'm gonna take it to another level for me.
Today I'm in the studio with one of the true pioneers of the West Coast hip hop game. An OG that when he started hip hop, there was really no hip hop. So you know I can only be talking about one OG, and that is my big homie, the one and only, straight out of Compton, Mr. Eve After Dark himself, Brand Master, Alonzo Williams.
Alonzo, it's an honor to be here with you, man.
Thank you, appreciate that.
You
Glad
know.
to be here.
Just for those cats that really don't know about you, where did you grow up and what was it like?
You know, people think I lived in Compton. When I was initially born back in the day, I did live in Compton on Magnolia, but I was only maybe 2 or 3 years old. I moved just outside of Compton in the unincorporated part of LA, right off of Main Street in El Segundo. In fact, it was funny, I was listening to my boy D.F. Hughley. He grew up on 135th and Avalon, which is right around the corner from where I grew up at, but because we were a few years apart, we never really met. But grew up outside of Compton, but because I was in the unincorporated part of LA, everything we did was in Compton. I went to Compton schools, I paid my water bill in Compton, my light bill in Compton, got my first lay in Compton. It was all good. Compton been very good to me.
That's cool, man. That's cool, Alonzo.
Compton been very good to me. Play softball, baseball, everything in Compton.
Right on, man. So as far as the high school, what high school did you attend, and what did you do after high school?
Well, one year, I went to, again, so all the schools I went to was in Compton, St. Albert's Elementary, Junior High, Vanguard, Centennial for the first 2 years. I'm an Apache, but things got crazy in the 11th grade. I left Centennial one afternoon. I had to go Gardena High School, and I became a Mohegan. So I'm bi-tribal, okay? I claim both of them. I'm kind of Apache. I go to the Apache reunions. I go to Mohegan reunions. I just change my feathers. That's all I gotta do is change feathers. One red feather to a green feather. But yeah, that was my dilemma for a while. But it also became a blessing. And I graduated from Gardena High School, and from there I went to broadcast school. For me to go to broadcast school, if you knew me from back in that time, you thought it would never happen. And because I had a terrible list, I was shy as hell, skinny as hell. All I had going for me was a big natural and not a bad looking cat. And you know, I went for it. I'd been so impressed by some of the DJs from KGFJ back in the day. I wanted to be a park DJ, like Hunter Hancock and the boss Tom Cross come to Compton on the Park and rock the crowd. So I figured I had to go to broadcast school to do that, and that's what I did. And and I did that too. So yeah, that was kind of my thing, man. You know, growing up in and around Compton was a different kind of thing for everybody back then. Because you know, the gang factor's always been around, but it wasn't prominent. It wasn't the only thing they did. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until the 80s till gangbanging became the main export of Compton, the Compton mindset. And back in the 70s, I'd walk all over Compton, go to Capitol Park, stop by the dairy, get me a honey bun and 15-cent soda. I spent 35 cents and walk my butt down McKinley all the way to 135th, come down 135th, cut through Vanguard, I'm home. Never got jacked, never got beat up, you know. And in fact, back then, for me, walking home from baseball practice or getting left to school from detention, walking home was a treat. You know, that was just what you had that kind of freedom. My mama didn't worry about me coming home because, you know, I was gonna be home for the street lights got home. Okay? Those I made home for street lights, yeah, ain't no big deal. So, you know, going to my girl's house, she lived off of Long Beach and Ward. I'd go over there on Saturdays and practice Lockin and stuff, okay? I wanted to be on Soul Train bad. Oh man, I wanted to be on Soul Train bad as heck. Her friend was a Soul Train dancer. Her name was Freddie Maxey. And my girl had a little patio, they had a little rumpus room, recreation room behind her house. You know, we go back in the back and we practice, you know, trying to get our lock on, you know, trying to, you know, trying to do our thing. Let me stop that, because that's, the bones ain't the same. They ain't the same.
You had those skills, man.
Oh, I tried my hand at locking. You know, that pop locking at Lockin. When Don Campbell then was, you know, doing their thing, and you know, it was a whole different thing.
Right.
You know, don't get into my moves right quick. Go ahead.
Well, Alonzo, without dating you too much, what year was it that you actually came out of high school?
Man, I don't mind being dated. I'm proud to be here, Doc. I don't mind being dated because I'm trying to pave the way for the youngsters. Tell y'all still can do it. You ain't got to be out of here at 40. You can still, you know, do your thing at 60. I'm 62, Doc.
Oh, come on,
I'm
man.
62, baby, all day long. I left from Gardena, 75. So I'll be 62 my next birthday, which is, you know, in a couple of months. Wow. So I'm already claiming, I'm getting my mind used to 62. Wow. You got to get up and hit the gym sometime. You got to do some push-aways, some push-ups, some pull-ups. Wow. You got to do it all to, you know, to maintain. And also get you a nice little can of dye. Get you a can of dye. You can't just run around here, you know, being all natural. Y'all got leaves, I got dye. Go ahead, keep pushing.
I feel you, man. Cool, man. Well, man, so basically, after high school, is that what you did? You went into broadcasting?
Went straight into broadcasting. I had no choice, man. At 11th grade, 12th grade in Gardena High School, when I first went there, they told me, hey, you got enough credits, because in LA Unified, they count you 9th grade. Okay, they didn't count them in Compton. I got to Gardena. Oh, you got enough credits, you can graduate, no problem. Wow. Fourth quarter, they found out I failed typing. So I had to go back, okay? I was short credits. Wow. I've been going to school half a day. I've been doing work experience all from the time I touched down in Gardena High School. I'm doing work experience. I'm going home at 11:30, okay? And then in the fourth quarter, right before time for graduation, oh, you failed typing at Centennial. You 5 credits short. Oh, by the way, your girlfriend is pregnant. Oh, you'll be 18 the day after school graduation. So I almost didn't graduate. I'm nervous. Man. I got my girlfriend was pregnant.
No, Lazo.
I turned 18. Right? All in the same 30-day period. Okay? Wow. My baby girl, my oldest daughter, is born the day before I graduated. Man. She's born on the 11th. I graduated on the 12th. I turned 18 on the 16th. I had a hell of a week.
Everyone round the world show pop lock love. Kicking away from the guy, tuck with the glove. Animation and they Compton Puppets, so them I go show. Don't step up on my dance floor. Let's go new gangsta pop lock. Chicago stop shop. Broke down the drop top. Pull off like hot drop. Go hear me say that. Me now go play that. Take out on them, I gonna crow mislead that. Pop lock.
Pop lock. Don't stop. Let your body rock. Moving and grooving to the music while everybody watch. Flocking to the stage with intentions to dance. Intoxicated off the my man. Posting them pictures on Instagram. All over the world, Europe, Japan, united, we stand for something. Put it down at every function, G'd up. Mean mugging, but ain't tripping off nothing. Cool boy and tidy king, tutting, ticking, hitting hard in formation, animation. Everybody play your part, donating, giving back, motivating, educating for the next generation. We celebrating this, what you receiving, dedication, making preparations. Too much segregation, fat laces and real breakers like Beach Street and Baker. Low rider bumper scrapers, sparking conversation in every location. Then a three-way motion towards my next destination.
Everyone round the world show pop like love. Kicking their waving nigga in touch with their glove. Animation and they Compton puppets so them I go show. Don't step up on my dance floor. Let's hold no gangsta pop lock. Chicago stop shop. Broke down the drop top. Pull off like cop drop. Go hear me say that. Me now go play that. Take out on them. I gonna crew mislead that. Pop lock.
I don't really know what the pop lock is. Black hat with the coat.
What's up, everybody? No Bone Tyrone here. Master Waves Legacy. Kicking it to OG. Cool boy in the house.
What's pop locking with it, homie? I'm from that west side of the Compton, you know what I'm saying? Rosecrans and Central.
There you go.
You know? Little homie Mossberg, rest in peace. DJ Quick. Kendrick Lamar. You know?
There you go.
That's my side of the town, man. You know, but this pop locking, that's the true essence of the West Coast hip hop. I'm not the first generation though, you know. I'm probably what they call the second generation or whatever. I don't know how it worked, man. All I know is I'm considered an OG, but then I guess you got what you call your triple OGs, your double OGs. So I'm a protege, man, of Mr. Anthony A.K. King, the Electronic Puppets. I'm from a legendary pop locking crew that I created called the Robotic Puppets, which is an offspring from the Electronic Puppets. You know what I'm saying? That's why I created that to show Electronic Puppets love. So I'm the Robotic Puppets West Coast Pop Lockers. Booyah. Represent that Compton puppet style.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm from a neighborhood called Campanella Park. You know, it's a tough area, man. So you gotta hold your own. You know, but what I love about living in the hood is that hood is in me, and you see it in me when I dance. You see it. You know what I'm saying? It's a style. That's why it can't be taught to you. It's a culture. You know, I've lived that life, so that lifestyle of dance is in me. Hood. That's why I call it hood. Robotic. People be like, what does that mean? Robotic. Okay, well, if you take the word bodic, okay, that's a part of robotic, right? Mixed with the hood. So it's robotic. Out of respect for my big homie Anthony King, I put the puppets under it because they're from Electronic Puppets, you dig? West Coast Pop Lockers.
Can you name off some of the members of the Robotic Puppets?
Yeah, man, we're a deep crew. Give you a rundown, man. Pop lock love to my homie Tyrone from the 818 Pacoima. Man, he was one of the hardest pop lockers from out of the valley. You know what I mean? I had put Snap on, my homie Warlock, DJ Hollywood. At one point, Frost was getting down with me, Latino dude. My little homies, G-Wave, K-Rock. I got my little thing one, thing two, Deontay and them. I got a deep little crew, man. My little sister, Brittany B. You know?
Right.
So we got a cold little camp, man. My son was even getting down, little cool boy. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
We got a deep family. Robotic Puppets got a deep family, man, and we all have a passion for this dance, you know? The newer generation of my crew came along, man, and actually one of the members of the newer generation, man, ended up being my ride or die, man, and that's my homie Marty McFly. So, you know, I had Marty McFly and Lolo, Tidy Bone, but till today, me and Marty McFly, we go around wrecking shop, homie. Me and him the one go around still putting in work. So that's the Robotic Puppets West Coast Pop Lockers. I still get out till today, man. I ain't gonna stop until the casket drop.
There you go.
Lock.
What year did you actually start pop locking?
Man, you know, before I was pop locking, to keep it real with you, I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing a dance that I didn't know what I was doing at the time, meaning not pop locking. I was locking. And I was just doing what I saw on TV, man. I'm watching Don Campbell and Fluky Luke and Greg Campbell and all these dudes. You know, I was trying to lock, man. And then they added that robotic motion to it. And I said, ooh wee. Ooh wee, I love this. You know, man, I got a cold story, man. Downtown Compton. If you're really from Compton, you'll know this. Look, check this out. Downtown Compton had what you call Exum's Aerobic Center. My mother was an aerobic instructor down there, right? So what does an aerobics, what do these places have? They have big mirrors, man. You know, because they got to do their exercises in front of the mirrors and stuff. So anyway, I used to go with my mom to these classes. And one day, I seen these dudes walk in, man, with jerry curls, afros, and long hair, and hair nets on their head with Batman jackets on, and they was talking to my mom. And I was a youngster, man, so I'm thinking this had to be like about 19, I'm gonna put it right at 1980. 79, 80. I'm gonna put it right there. And when they dudes came in and they was talking to my mother, I couldn't hear the conversation. But I saw my mother doing this. I don't know what she's saying. She's talking to some G's like that. So I got nervous because I was a little kid. But the last thing I did hear her say is, you guys got 20 minutes before my next class. And they were very polite and they were gentlemen. And these dudes said, thank you. And I'm like, they got 20 minutes for what? What's she giving them 20 minutes to do what? These dudes lined up, man, in formation. Put their music on and started hitting a routine. And they had this aggressive, you gotta imagine seeing this for the first time. They had this aggressive jerk, this aggressive hit to their body when they moved. It was boom, boom, boom. I said, oh my God. I was like, everything was like in slow motion. I fell in love. You know what I'm saying? I see these dudes 18, 19 years old. Here I am, man, like 9, 10. You know what I'm saying? And these dudes was bam, boom, 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 and they all moving together at the same time. And I'm like, what is this? Oh man. Little did I know, I was watching the Electronic Puppets. Wow. Anthony A.K. King and Electronic Puppets. Didn't know, man, at that time. You know what I'm saying? So it changed my life. It messed my world up at that moment, man. I wanted to do that, be that. You know what I'm saying? And look at me now. I can't stop, man.
There you go.
I'm possessed with it. Booyah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Welcome back, everybody. No Bone Tyrone here, master of Waves Legacy. Let the history of pop locking begin, and begun it has. Today, I'm in the house with another special guest. A guest, once again, straight out of Compton. Compton's very own original style Compton pop locker, Eric Tank green.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
man.
you.
Hey, you're welcome,
And
man.
you talking about one of the originals, man. It's an honor for me to be here with you, No Bones Tyrone. You know, for you to want to interview me it's a great honor, man. I mean, because I never was really just one of the premier pop lockers out of Compton. I was just one of the guys who was just kind of in the background. So for you to want to have to sit down with me and for me to be able to share, you know, some of the history that I know, man, it's a great honor. I appreciate it.
Well, hey, man, the feeling is mutual. The first question I wanted to ask you, Tank, everybody knows that you're from Compton. It says original style, Compton pop lock, right there. For those who are watching and don't know, what part of Compton did you grow up in?
I grew up on the east side of Compton, which was for people who are from Compton, and for some people who aren't even from Compton, everybody knows about the Compton swap meet.
Okay,
So
right.
I grew up in the neighborhood that's behind the Compton swap meet, near Long Beach Boulevard and Rosecrans.
Okay.
That's the area, the east side.
Okay, so when you were in Compton, was there any schools that you might have went to when you were living in Compton? If you did, what were those schools?
I started out at Stephen Foster Elementary, which was right there in my neighborhood. And I got into a little thing where I got kicked out of elementary school.
Oh, come on, Tank. Elementary? What was you doing, man? Taking kids' lunch money, man? Taking advantage of your sons? That's what he did, dog.
No. It was just I didn't follow the directions of the teacher. It was raining outside. I had just gotten a brand new coat. Everybody knows about, if you're from that era, you know about Montgomery Wards.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so there was some Montgomery Wards. My mom would order my clothes out of the catalog. They had used catalogs back in the day. I got this brand new coat. We had recess, and I went outside and played basketball. You take your coat off and you leave it by the pole, right? Because you got a basketball court on this side, a basketball court on this side, and they got the pole right there, right? Well, I left it by the pole, and recess was over. I went in, and then I remembered that my coat was out there and it was raining, so I didn't even ask the teacher. I just remember my mother and my father telling me that I wasn't gonna get another coat. You better keep this coat, this, that, it's brand new. I mean, I hadn't had it more than a couple of weeks. Went outside, just jumped up out of my seat and started going outside. Teacher tried to call me back. I was thinking more about my father, my mother, and my father. And
Okay.
really didn't pay her no attention. And I went outside, got my coat, and it was just dripping wet, and it was really heavy. It was one of those, it had like the lamb fur.
Oh, I
around the
remember
collar.
those.
When
I
you opened
remember
it up, It was
those.
all white with the lamb on the inside.
Right.
So anyways, they ended up kicking me out. Not just for that, but my mother came down there, and she didn't like the way that whole situation was handled. So from that point on, I went to a different school. To get to what you were asking me, what schools, that was the only school in Compton that I went to. Because after that, I started getting bussed out to Carson. So I went from Stephen Foster to, I was supposed to go to Whaley, and I was supposed to go to Dominguez. But I didn't go to Whaley, didn't go to Dominguez.
Wow.
I did end up going to Linwood High School for a moment, but I couldn't stay there. I couldn't stay at Linwood High School. But I went to Curtis Junior High School. I went to Leekwood Elementary School. Both of those were in Carson, and then I continued to go to school out that way. I ended up going to Banning. But Banning was so far away. Yeah, I graduated from Banning in '83. But because Linwood High School was, walking distance, it was right around the corner from where I lived. My parents tried to get me into that school. I ended up getting in that school because my grandparents had a house in Linwood at that time. We used their address. But I couldn't go there because of where I grew up at on one side of Long Beach Boulevard, and the majority of the people who went to Linwood were from the other side of Long Beach Boulevard, and the two areas really didn't get along with each other because of colors or gang affiliations or whatever. So
yeah, the Crips and the Bloods, more than likely.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Okay. And I wasn't a good fit, so I couldn't stay there at Linwood. So
okay,
I ended up abandoning.
There you go. So
and I still got to get in a little trouble out there too, but I could at least mask it a little bit. I could mask it a little bit more. But when you're right there by your house, you better be representing, But out there, it was all brand new.
All right, man. Okay, cool.
up on Tyrone, master of Wave's legacy. Let the history of pop locking begin, and begun it has. Today, I'm on location in the city of Bellflower, California, hanging out with the homie from Compton, Popin, Earl Ingram from the legendary crew, the Untouchables. Earl, it's an honor and privilege to be able to hang out with you today, man. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. You know, before we get started, this is an opportunity for you to blast yourself. I usually do this at the end, but I'm gonna twist it up a little bit. If there's anything you might have up and coming as far as projects and performances, videos, or anything like that, can you please let everybody else know?
Well, we have a project coming up. It's called Riders, and it's about a love story with a guy that's a boxer. He comes from the street, and he sees dance, pop locking and stuff like that. He grew up in the hood, and pop locking is part of the hood, so we get a chance to dance in the movie, and that's just. I'm gonna keep the rest under my hat. Just to give you a little bit.
Okay, all right, Earl. Well, everybody knows that you're from Compton.
Right.
For those cats who are probably familiar with Compton itself and those who are not, can you explain to some of our listeners and viewers what part of Compton you're from?
East side of Compton.
East side of Compton. Okay. And what streets or avenues?
I live right off of Rosecrans and Harris, right by the Compton Drive-In, actually, where the Compton Drive-In used to be.
Okay, so Earl, when you first started, what did you see that motivated you to start popping?
I originally lived in Hollywood, and I moved to Compton 7980. And I checked in the Whaley Junior High, and they were having lunch. And I saw these two cats get on the lunch table and start popping. And what motivated me was the way they were moving. The way they were moving and dancing. The different styles were going against each other. They were having a battle. And one of the cats was, his name was Carlos Stallion, which I think he was one of Anthony King's little pop lockers that he was teaching. I saw him get down, and the battle was close. The only thing that separated those two was that Carlos could vibrate. That was the difference. So that's how he beat him. That's how he beat the other guy. Wow. He vibrated on him. They were backslide, they were hitting. At the time, it wasn't a lot of waving, so they were doing, twister flexing, maybe a little bit of waving. It was early on, and that motivated me to start popping. But a little bit later on in the year, I saw these two cats popping. One was Terrence Bynum, and the other cat was Anthony Boyd. That's when I first saw snaking.
Wow.
One could boogaloo tut, and the other one could snake. And they battled, and it was something to see. You see these two guys snaking and hitting the ground. They're like 3 or 4 inches off the ground, snaking and coming up off the ground. I said, I gotta learn how to do that. I said, if I can learn how to do that, it'd be hard to beat me.
All right, growing up in Compton, East Compton, what was it like?
Well, it's like any typical neighborhood. You had the gangbangers, you had the guys that dance, you had the guys that play sports, but a lot of people they think Compton is a horrible place to be. If you look on the media, oh, Compton is this, they're killing everywhere. It wasn't like that.
Okay.
You just did your own thing, I didn't want to gangbang. I didn't play sports at the time. I loved dancing. That was my thing. I think popping kept me out of a lot of trouble because I wasn't in the streets, out there doing anything bad. I was at home practicing, honing my skills.
Influences. Is there anyone in terms of crews or maybe one of the poppers that was really putting it down out there that might have influenced you as you was coming up?
Chicken Touche out of Linwood.
Chicken Touche. I heard a lot about him. So how did you meet Chicken Touche, bro?
Well, I had a friend of mine, living in Compton, you had McMillan, you had one side of McMillan was Compton, the other side was Linwood, and they were like right next to each other. It really didn't make no sense, but if you lived on this side of the street, you were from Linwood. So Touche lived on the other side of McMillan where he went to Linwood. So I went to my buddy Lucky house and we happened to be talking about Popin. And he said, I know somebody you could pop against. I said, well, take me down to the house. I'll pop against him. And he started laughing at me. So we go down there, knock on the door, and Lucky told Touche that I wanted to pop against him. And Lucky was laughing. So at the time, I didn't have a lot of popping skills. I could snake and I could hit a little bit, but standing up popping and hitting, really popping, I didn't have it.
Okay.
That man turned that music on and started popping. I said, can you teach me? He amazed me with his style because he was so unorthodox.
Right.
He would move one way and he'd be coming at you another way.
Wow.
I said, I gotta learn that style. So from that day forward, I'd come over his house every day. Sometimes he would turn me away, I'd come back later. And he'd practice and we practiced and we practiced. And I couldn't tick. I could jerk one side of my shoulder, that was my hit.
Wow.
So he taught me how to tick, he taught me how to pop actually. But the only thing that he didn't teach me was how to snake. As far as that boogaloo style that I have, that unorthodox style that I have, I got it from him.
Okay.
Outside Staples Center, home of the LA Lakers, where Kobe Bryant, he died in a helicopter crash with his 13-year-old daughter and 7 others.